and assisting small businesses. Really honored and privileged to introduce to you Julie, who is also one of our BRC consultants, expert at just about everything, including a business owner, and also amazing craft creating these type of masks for lots of the employees and folks who want to strive to stay healthy and keep everyone else healthy too. Julie just took this opportunity to help us review a business plan template that will help us just understand and get a little bit more, feel a little more confident with writing a business plan. I know that everyone is, for many of us, it's very intimidating writing really anything, especially if English is not our first language. And so she's here to help, available for business plan consulting. If you need that, if you need a business plan review, she's here to help you. So I will stop talking and let Julie start with her amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Julie. And also thank you so much, Jessica, for doing the Spanish interpreting so that all of us in this group can have the correct information, and also feel empowered that we can do this together, and that we have the support that we need. If anybody needs additional languages, if you don't mind sending us a chat, we can plan for future info sessions. We do want to know that, and we want you to know that we do have the resources to have information available in any language that you need. Thank you so much, and welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you so much to Impact Beaverton and the county for getting this CARES Act funding to be able to do this kind of work. It's really, I think it makes me very happy to be able to try to simplify some of these terms so they're less scary. So a business plan is something you can totally achieve. I hope everyone can see my screen. Is that true, that my screen is viewed right now? Yes, very good. So let's get going. So a business plan, this is going to be super fast. You know, I want to leave some time so that you can ask questions on specific details, and there's a lot that goes into a business plan. So the executive summary part of the business plan is really what you'll write when you're done with your business plan. So you'll come back to the start of your document and you'll do this summary where you're talking about what you are doing with your business. So what problem are you solving is usually how people will talk about it. So whatever service you're providing, product that you're making, or connection that you're giving for people, you're going to talk about that. You're going to talk about why what you do is special. You're going to talk about who is going to be interested in whatever that thing is and how it's going to change their lives. It's going to make things better, whether that's giving them a delicious cupcake or giving them a specific service that you provide. So typically the next part in a business plan would be an elevator pitch. And it's, again, you're going to reiterate a lot of the same information over and over again in your business plan. So just be prepared to talk about your business in different ways and how it's unique. So in this elevator pitch, specifically, you're going to talk more about what your mission is, what your values are, why you started your business, how you have structured your business. So are you the owner? And if so, do you have a business partner? Are there investors involved? Like, how is it structured? Is it an LLC? Are you a sole proprietor? Are you planning to become an S Corp someday? And for now, you're this other type of structure. So you're just laying that out again in a really short way. So again, just a few sentences to cover what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it. Also, a part of this section is going to be about your team. So what makes you as the owner specially ideal for doing this business? So more than likely, you've got experience doing the work that you're going to do in your business, or you've got specialized training that makes you uniquely qualified to do the work that you're going to do in your business. And if you have other people like a business partner or employees or folks that are instrumentally involved in what you're doing, and by that I mean like maybe you have a collaboration with another business that supplies you certain things you need for your business, then you're going to talk about them here and what makes them part of your team, what makes them uniquely qualified to be part of your team. So for an example, say you have a chocolate company, you're going to make chocolates, and maybe you are out of a, you have a kitchen that you work out of, so you're renting time in a commercial kitchen. And so maybe that commercial kitchen is part of your team. You could do a little write-up about how you're in this particular commercial kitchen and you have a lease for however long. And maybe you have an agreement with a bean company where you're getting your chocolate from, and that's a unique agreement that you have. You could also talk about that as being part of your team if you wanted to go into that level of detail. But typically this section is about you, if you're a sole proprietor, and your direct group of people that you're working with in your business. So employees, if you have someone who's doing managerial work, if you have, say, if you're a restaurant, you'd have someone who's a server, maybe you have someone who's doing prepping in addition to having a cook, and you're the manager of the business, or you are the cook. Like, you're going to say those things about who is involved. And then you've also, in this section, you're going to talk about your customers. And this is, again, kind of a not a very deep dive about who your customers are. So you're going to talk about your market and what your ideal customers are, but you'll get into more detail in another section. So again, like I said, you talk about a lot of the same things over and over again in slightly different ways as you work on your business plan. So that's company description. So market analysis is a thing that could sound scary because they're using this word market and analysis, but really what you're saying is, who is my customer? So you have lots and lots of people that you know, and also all of the Portland metro area that you could potentially sell whatever it is that you're doing to. However, you know, instinctively, you know that there are certain people who will be drawn to what it is that you're offering. And that's what you want to consider in this moment of market analysis. You're going to narrow it down so that you've got your ideal customer. A lot of folks will create kind of a profile, kind of almost like a stereotype person, where they'll say, I'm going to sell my product or my service to this type of person. They like, let's do an example of a person. So this could be someone who likes heavy metal music, and they go to blue collar wrestling every weekend, and they're in a band, they have tattoos, they're in their 30s, and their income is $30,000 a year. Their job is as an office administrator in a hospital. You could just make that kind of person as a template, and based on that kind of information, you know what will appeal to them. So that's a really specific framework of a person, but you could say, I'm going to go after people who are bodybuilding enthusiasts, or people who are into yoga, or people who love Japanese anime, or people who are CEOs of companies at a certain valuation. You could say, I want people who are of a certain age range with a certain income, and they're into these kinds of things. And that helps you really narrow down. So when you are advertising to these people, you can make it very specific to them so that they go, wow, that's totally up my alley. That's exactly what I want. And it completely depends on what it is that you're creating, what it is that you're selling. So it completely will depend on what you do, how you define those people, how you create little buckets of types of people, kind of like these candy dishes are differentiated by the type of candy is in the dish. So when you segment like this, it shrinks it down, which can scare a lot of people when they're working on their business plan, where they think, well, I want to sell to millions of people. Like I want to sell all of the thing that I have. And it's by narrowing it down more, you are able to focus directly towards those people. And sure, there will be people who aren't those exact types that will come and buy or request your service. But knowing what that is, it helps you design your business. It helps you create the graphics and images. It helps you think about what language you'll use when you're creating ads. It'll help you do advertising segmentation and SEO keywords. All of this stuff plays into your market analysis. So it's really important that you think about it. In this section of your business plan, a lot of folks will look for you to say, I'm taking X% of the target market. So that would be a little broader in like, I'm going for people who are of a certain income and a certain age bracket who are looking for whatever your service or product is. And then you would see what other businesses are already doing that. And then you would say, I'm going to claim this amount of those people based on this company already existing and claiming 25% and this company this amount. So you're going to kind of maneuver your way in to the attention of their customers or their potential customers and kind of get those people to pay attention to you. So that's what that means with the market share. And hopefully this isn't too confusing. I know it's a lot of information all at once. But we've got to keep moving because I want to leave time for questions. So I just talked about competitors and the market share. So in your marketing, you are going to do a competitive analysis. So this often is called a SWOT analysis, and SWOT means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's basically a little chart that you can make, and you're going to pick some competitors. And some people resist the word competitor. They think that every other business could be a collaborator, which is true to a certain extent. You can build relationships with companies that are doing similar things to you, and those can be really nourishing for both businesses. You can end up doing swaps or trades or cross-marketing that can benefit both businesses. But for the purposes of a business plan, you're going to look at them like competitors. So you are going to take a critical look at 4 or 5 businesses that are doing basically what you're doing in a certain geographic area, or if it's online, then you're going to look at whatever landscape you're choosing to kind of confine it a little. And you're going to analyze how they do their business, what they're doing well, what they aren't maybe doing so well, what are opportunities for you to be better or meet their level, and what are things that could potentially be challenging with their business existing while your business is trying to do what it's doing. So you can also do this for your own business idea. If you've not already started your business, or if your business is existing, you can do this for your existing business, where you chart out what exactly is it that is strong about your business? Where are things that are loose threads, things that need to get improved upon? What are things that you could set some goals for to take the opportunities to achieve? And what are things that are risky or potentially could cause some trouble in your business? So this is a really important thing to do, especially like I was talking with a business owner who's looking to start a business, and for her idea, which was a food-based business, there was nothing in the Beaverton area doing that same type of food, which is both an opportunity and also potentially not a great thing. So she has the opportunity to be the first of that type of food in the city boundaries. At the same time, being the first of that type of food in the city boundaries means she may have to educate people, she may have to do extra outreach and raise more awareness and do something to get people through the door knowing that it's good food, versus if she was in a different city where there's several businesses already operating with that type of food. You've already got people going to those businesses that know what that food is and then might want to try a new spot and become a fan of that new spot. So there's things to think about when you're looking at this. It's a really valuable tool to analyze the other businesses that are doing what you do. And if there's nothing in your immediate vicinity, like if you're a storefront, they typically say look within 5-mile radius for competitors. But if you're in a place where you don't have that, then you can look at any business. Like you could look at a business in a similar type of area. So a city that's a similar size, and see if there's a business there, and then look at how they're doing and what they're doing well and how they're able to succeed, and take those lessons from them. Really, the ultimate benefit of this kind of analysis is that you're able to borrow perhaps some tricks of the trade or techniques or aesthetics, things that you can borrow or learn from to make your business stronger. So the next section in a business plan is typically the operating plan. So this is literally the operations of your business. So how does your business do what it does? And features of this is who is responsible for what, how are you collecting payment, what kind of technology do you need to do what you do, who are your key customers, especially if you're like a service business, if you know you've got a contract to deliver a service, or you're going to fill out a request for proposal and make that connection, you would list those kind of things. What kind of facilities do you need? Are you leasing a space somewhere, or do you have some kind of place where you're able to do your work, or are you remote and it doesn't matter? What kind of partnerships and collaborations need to exist? So you're really just laying out what makes your business tick on a day-to-day basis. And then you can also roll out what it is that you see for the future. So you could be like, after year 1, we're planning on adding this many employees. We're going to do this much more of whatever it is that we do. And that means we're going to need to locate another place that we do our business. Maybe you need more hours at a commercial kitchen, or maybe you need to get your own kitchen set up so that you can do all that work. Maybe you need more tools. Like, those are things that you can start to say in this plan for the future as part of that. So really, it's if you don't already have your business, you're painting a picture of what this will be. So say you're in the phase of planning and you need a loan to get going, or you need a little bit of money saved up to get going, then you're going to fully paint the picture with your imagination of what does it actually look like to have your business operating. If you're already in business, then you're just going to look around you and be like, well, what do I have? I use Square to collect payments, and I have Stripe as an alternate for online payments, or PayPal, or whatever it is that you use. I have a computer or a tablet or my phone, or whatever it is that you have as a tool for your technology. You've got agreements or sales are already happening, or you've got relationships that are in place for your customer base. You work out of your home, or you've got an office that you're renting, or you have a lease in a building, or whatever it is that you have for your facilities. And then you're going to say, well, in 12 months, this is where I want it to be. I could see that this business is going on this path, and this is what I'm going to need in order to make that happen. So this is your opportunity to paint that picture in this section. So the next section traditionally is the marketing plan. So the marketing plan, marketing basically is a word for how you tell people what it is that you're doing. So you have to let people know that you do this, whatever it is. And so you need strategies for how to do that out in the world. So there are key messages and channels. So key messages are the concepts, the ideas about your business. So you've got maybe a sentence or a tagline or your elevator pitch. Like, you have words or images or combination that you use that describes your business, so people understand really quickly what it is that your business is about, whether it's a service or a product, whatever. The channels are the modes in which you get that information to other people. So that could be you go to an event and you say hello to someone and you tell them. It could be that you use social media. It could be that you create a video and you literally buy ad space on TV, like anybody does that anymore. But you could call that a channel. So there are myriad ways to get your name and information out there to generate leads and get your business promoted. So leads is generally more the idea of having, like, you're an independent contractor and you're getting a contract so that you can do work over a period of time, and you may have leads with networking to get to different people that then they'll vouch for you, and maybe you get the contract as a result. But leads can also just be that you're getting your name out there and someone's like Emma wearing a mask that I wore and being like, hey, Julie makes masks, they're great. That's a lead. So it's all about getting your business out there to other people so that they understand. So the different activities that you do can be, like I said, in today's age, it's a lot of social media, but it could even be, depending on what your business is, it could be hanging a poster in a grocery store, or on a billboard somewhere. It could be handing out business cards at an event. It could be showing up to an online meeting and making sure your business name is in your name of your account so that people see your business name. When you get into doing marketing on social media, then there is analytics. So analytics on social media is a really deep dive and merits probably talking to one of the BRC consultants if you're looking at analytics, to really get into the weeds on that. It can be very simple. Facebook in particular makes it pretty easy to set up an ad and send it out based on some keywords. And then you can see a report of how many people have seen and interacted with your ad. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. People who do advertising on social media and analyzing the resulting analytics as their jobs they purchase specialized platforms that enables them to control and do different testing of images and words, and targets of who they're sending that messaging to, and then they analyze the analytics after the fact to determine what was successful and what wasn't. So it can get very, very specific, and it can generate a lot of response, and it can do very well for your business when it's done well. And it would be a part of your sales strategy overall. So let's see, what else? Control and management. I think this is talking, I made this presentation using Impact Beaverton's business plan template that they have. So you don't have to come up with all of this out of nowhere. There is a template that exists that has these sections laid out, and you can just kind of fill it in. And it has little descriptors of each section, so that you can be like, oh, that's this section. I write this information in here. So it's very easy in comparison to just doing it out on your own. But in the marketing, they talk about control and management. Specifically, this is making sure that you are following certain protocols step by step. And like, what happens if someone sends you a message on Instagram where they're looking for something that maybe isn't exactly your business? What are you going to do for that? Like, are you going to try to convert them into what you have to offer? Or do you refer them to someone that you have a friendship with? Those kind of things. Also, control and management, in my mind, ought to include a little bit of risk management. What happens when someone makes a comment on one of your posts that is negative? How do you respond to that? If it's off topic, if it's political, like things that happen in today's world, how are you going to manage that? What is your general response to be? So it's something to think about, and it's something to add into this kind of a plan. Okay, this is the fun part, financials. In my experience of many years helping people with business plans, financials are the #1 thing that folks resist. It can feel very scary, but the attention to detail totally pays off in the end. All the financials are wonderful, useful tools to help you strategize your future, think about where you are today, and maybe most importantly, access capital. Like, you can get loans and grants when you have financials in place. People will take you much more seriously, especially as a solo entrepreneur. So it's definitely worth it. And when you're just getting going, a lot of these spreadsheets are going to be numbers that you're literally making up. You are going to do your best guess as to what it will look like once you are in business. So you know generally what things are going to cost, so you're going to figure out what your pricing is for your product or service, and you're going to base that off of something. So if it's a service, you're going to look and see what other people charge for that service and then set your rates. And you'll have, just like a menu in a restaurant, you'll have a menu of the things that you're offering people. If you have a product, you're going to look at what it takes to make that product, whether you're buying it outright and selling it, or whether you're actually making something out of pieces that come together and create whatever that is. So if it's a recipe, you know you have a certain amount of flour and water and egg and whatever that makes that recipe, and you can figure out what the price of each part of that recipe is. And then you know to make whatever that one individual piece is costs. So we could use the chocolate example. Let's say you make a really simple chocolate where you're just doing sugar, cocoa powder, and some kind of oil. Let's use coconut oil. So it's super simple, super basic, and you're going to make a batch, and that batch turns into 20 pieces of chocolate. So you know how much, you figure out how much it costs to make that batch, and then you divide that by 20, and you know how much each individual chocolate costs. And then when you decide, I'm going to sell 5 chocolates at a time, you know how much that packet of chocolates that you're selling costs. So that is essentially your cost of goods sold for your chocolates when you sell them. It's a little, for tax purposes, it will be different. So for the purposes of operating and knowing what your expenses are and what your earning is, for things like a break-even analysis or cash flow projection or profit and loss or balance sheet, like those things, those will be based off of what I just described. For tax purposes, a cost of goods sold is your inventory start, whatever you bought to add into your inventory, and then your inventory at the end of the year. So it's much easier for tax time. So financials are likely something that maybe Impact Beaverton will have separate session on to cover certain parts of the different financials, because each of these is a full spreadsheet or a report that you're getting out of whatever service you use for accounting. And they have different attributes and they show different pieces of information that informs you and anybody else that you decide to share it with about how your business is doing or what you expect your business to be doing on a financial basis. So they're very useful tools. And again, I can't say it enough, but if you're just getting going, you are doing an educated guess when you fill these things out. So you know, in reality, what things cost and what you expect to charge. And so you put that in, and then you're guessing month to month how much you're selling of whatever it is. And that's okay. A lot of, if you're new in your business and you're trying to get a loan or something like that, they may ask you to do a projection for a best case scenario and a projection for a worst case scenario, and then kind of a middle range, like modest case scenario. So you can show like what would happen if people didn't show up for your business for like 6 months. How are you going to manage that if you aren't making money for a while in your worst case scenario? And then what do you do if you're doing really well and you have to hire more people? You know, your best case scenario is business is doing really well and you actually need help to keep business operating so that you can actually go to sleep at night. So that is a really fun, I think, exercise, and can be really useful when you're talking to a lender, so they understand that you know what's going on. So exit plan, this is a part of the business plan where you're going to talk about what happens when you're done with business, like really done. Like say you burn out, say you want to retire, say you think you've got your business packaged in such a way you could franchise it and like sell it, duplicate it over and over again, or business is going really well, or businesses are not going really well, and you want to sell any assets that you have, or just sell a profitable business with all the customers or clients. So this is an important thing to think about for what you want. So it's not talking about all of these things. It's you in your imagination saying, 10 years from now, I want to be able to retire. So when the business hits whatever dollar amount in profit, and I've paid myself whatever dollar amount in profit, I'm going to sell the business, or I'm going to retire and close the business, or I'm going to leave it as a legacy for family. I'm gonna gift it to someone in my family that I think can take over, and that means I'm gonna show them how to do it by a certain date so that they can take over. So you're gonna say that in your business plan, like you intend to run it until you cannot run it anymore, or you have a deadline or some milestone that you're gonna meet, at which point you're going to exit the business. All right, so this is the last section of the business plan, which is your risk analysis. And at the bottom of the slide is ready.gov, and ready.gov, it has all these tips and tutorials and setups regarding exactly what we're going through right now with the pandemic. Like, it's a worst case scenario at this moment. And they talk about a lot of different scenarios. So what if a big earthquake hits, or what if there's a tsunami, or whatever it is. So it's a great website to go to and think about risks that could happen for a business, in addition to any kind of liability or accident, or the need for some kind of training or whatever that could happen with the business. So in this section, you're really going to talk about, like, what are the risks for your business? Like, if you have a food product, there's definitely a risk for someone getting sick, maybe. Or if you have a restaurant and it's a walk-in, there's a risk someone could trip on the entryway. Like, there's these risks that we know exist. And so what are you going to do? You're going to have insurance. You're going to have your business set up with a legal structure that removes you from liability. You're going to have whatever kind of training, like food handlers training, or OSHA training, or HAZWOPER training, or whatever industry specific certification or licensure that you need to meet criteria. So you're going to talk about those things, like, we're prepared. I am prepared for this type of scenario. If this thing happens, I'm just going to close the business. If this thing happens, I know that I can get training for this, or I'm going to have extra coverage of insurance for this situation. So you're really just kind of facing it head on and being prepared in advance. And that's basically it. So please get help. Help is out there. I've added Gustavo and Emma's emails here, and that's the phone number for Impact Beaverton, and the Business Recovery Center website has a lot of useful information there. So I think we've got about 15 minutes. If folks have questions or anything like that, I think might be a good time.